Soldiers are on the day off, and one says to the other, you know, General Arnold is the general most likely to stage a coup and declare himself president. He's been working us overtime, stealing mail, hijacking America's lifelines. He's even got his hand in that those dangerous Middle Eastern brothers of the Mormons in Utah on American soil. You know, we could put out a video about what he does. We should. He's committing treason. And no one would know it was us who put it out. And the other one says, well, yeah, I don't know about that. And then he gets a call. It's his mom. Yeah, his grandma was on the general's list, and she's in the hospital long term because paramedics didn't get there quickly. We are in a huge room with a whole lot of privates and something that looks like telemarketing kind of attire. And one of the privates says to the one next to him, "Can't believe Colonel South has us wasting our time doing this. We could be stealing the calls from an activist on the East Coast, all kinds of good stuff we could be using this technology for. Instead, we're doing this." And oh, I got another one. He answers the call, and he says, "No, the Hilton is full up. We're having a convention. Try the Trump Hotel down the street." Sarge runs up to the general and he tells him America's phones have been shut down. And the general says, yeah, I warned them about that AT&T monopoly with the political, religious, and business censorship. Where's the colonel? And Sarge says, he's in town. I can't get him on the phone. He says, let's go to the Eye in the Sky control room. Sarge and the general go there, and yeah, they look in on Utah, and they're going out in all directions across America is, yes, all those Muslim brothers with the Mormons, the Mormon cult. I'm Melton, checking posting 5. Certify your mail as well, not one in a decade, guys. Colonel South has stolen a lot of mail as part of me not getting a 9/11 Flight 93 check that you calling me up knowing your phone works all the time because you can reach me. They're worried enough about their crimes to alter phone records to cover that up, so you make a video if you call to me. Anyway, South has a whole lot of stolen mail, and he puts Harry right in the center of all those pallets. And he says, I want you to guard this mail. I'm going to get rid of it tomorrow. Make sure no one comes in, takes photos, makes videos, that kind of thing. And as the private is sitting on that pallet of mail, a phone rings in one of the packages, small package, cell phone, small package. And he opens it up, he says, hello, answers the phone. He said, the guy on the other end says, what are you doing stealing my mail? I said, I don't know, you have to talk to Colonel South about that. If true. 9/11 Flight 93, check in, post in 5. Make that video of America's hijacked lifelines. Be on the side of those driving the tanks, the jeeps, the jets, the side of the children and truth. And remember, call up AT&T. As well as those generals. Put the numbers on the backs of this 93 check imagery that I've been asking for a 93 check of America's lifelines for over a decade and have yet to get one. But the numbers on the backs of pipes, AT&T executives, generals, they don't know what a 93 check is in their phone monopoly or military business. It means they're involved or they're incompetent. So you call them up, get them on speakerphone, and you try to call me with someone else's phone, as maybe even someone else's phone makes that video of the timestamp on your phone, number dial. You inform the general, AT&T, it doesn't matter if phone records are altered. All of America has that crime on video. We've got Phonegate on video. What's your part in it? A veteran, a concerned American, walks up to Oliver North, or perhaps some who have known him over the years, in the military or outside, and he asks him, are you a part of the attempted revolution of America, in America, by trying to take over our means of communication, inhibit freedom of speech, hijack lifelines? I have yet to get one 9/11 Flight 93 check in a decade of asking, guys. I'm Melton. Not one in a decade. No certified, no non-certified mail as well. Ask Oliver. Ask AT&T's executives. Ask generals. What's your part in that? Remember, the certified mail points to the generals. A church group has mobilized for the protection of their flock in America. Susan tells them on the back of these fives are the numbers of all of America's generals and colonels, as well as many other officials. If they cannot acknowledge the fact that John Melton Brady, son of a Carter Mary, has been asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade, right after we demonstrate to him in person or via speakerphone, they are no more than common thieves, common traitors, and we must mobilize against them. They are in charge of our security, so we must do the house cleaning they are not. Oh, do that. 9/11 Flight 93, check and post in 5. A Colonel South, Traitor Colonel South, has just dropped off some stolen mail at Wayne's warehouse. Oh, send me some mail. Make a video first, it's going to be stolen. Yes, Traitor Colonel South. And yeah, he'll take it to the warehouse there. He stops to make a quick call. And when he's done, Wayne says, that is a nice phone you got there. And Colonel South's a little vain. He says, oh yeah, it's got that front-facing camera, it's got that rear-facing camera, it's got that side-facing camera. And then he puts his phone up, and he tells Wayne all about all the crimes he's doing, all the treason he's committing, and it's backing up to the cloud, photos and videos. He says the only problem is it's bad on battery. Have to keep recharging it, and well, you're gonna have to do that because it's making all those videos and audios and backing up to the cloud, and that FBI guy is doing getting something much better than the Nixon tapes. The general is appearing before a Senate subcommittee meeting, and the senator has asked the general, is it true you've been outright stealing Americans' mail? You've been hijacking lifelines and internet communications? And the general says, well, I can do that. I'm the general. I can do anything. And the senator says, no, you can't. Those subversive methods you employ to topple foreign countries, put up sham democracies. Here it's called, because we are a real democracy, it's called treason. It's called revolution, General. We'll need to speak to you some more. So Traitor Oliver North has stopped by AT&T headquarters to pick up some documents about military interaction with the megaphone monopoly. He's picked up some documents, some equipment as well, and he runs into Randall Stevenson. And he offers him some good advice for the Senate subcommittee meetings. He says, do what I did, just wear your Marine outfit, uniform. Wear your Marine uniform and envision yourself as that hero to our country, Benedict Arnold. And Randall Stevenson thanks him for the advice, and he's off to do whatever he does. So Colonel South, who's been stealing a lot of mail, hijacking a lot of lifelines, altering phone records, you name it, a traitor to the core. He walks out and his secretary Bambi has been shredding all morning, and he picks up what's on the top of the pile there and he says, Bambi, why are you shredding the latrine building handbook? And Bambi goes, uh-oh. So yes, Colonel South's going to be telling that general, we sent a list of all we're doing to a contractor. Oh, get a video of that list. Who's involved? That sort of thing. Post. The general is back in his hometown. He walks into that familiar store, and the manager knows him. He's talking to him. And then Henry walks up, another patron of that store. And he asks the general about truth. About America's hijacked lifelines. Within a short conversation about truth, he has the general yelling and screaming and running out of that store, and the manager says, oh, Henry, did you have to do that? And he says, yeah, that man is in charge of nuclear weapons. I've seen documentary after documentary of him conducting harassment techniques against American citizens. I can't have him using that same temper and treasonous behavior with those weapons. Iran, a concerned American, has called up the commandant of West Point, and he demonstrates how he can't reach me, John Melton Brady, and he tells him all about those decade of not one 9/11 Flight 93 check, and how a lot of civilians know all about that, and he wants to know what the commandant of West Point is teaching our generals nowadays, because he's called up a couple of them and they don't know anything about Melton's 9/11 Flight 93 checks, and not one in a decade. They don't know anything that seems like they, and if you don't answer correctly, are involved or are incompetent. Make that video right now of your hijack call to me, Melton. John Melton Brady. I've been asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade, and I have yet to get one. That's a lot of mass censorship conducted without fear of being covered by the evening news. We the people must be the evening news. Call up AT&T's executives, Randall Stevenson, on down. Call up that general, call up that colonel. If they don't know in the business they're in about me asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade and not getting one, you try to call me in front of them. You check your family's lifeline. Certify your mail as well. 4260 Eagle Rock Boulevard, Apartment 409. Certify that mail and make a video of it before you send it. It's going to be stolen. 9/11 Flight 93, check in, post in 5. Whatever boring thing you get. Not going to be boring if you need that fireman, police, paramedics. Money out of your pocket every day. Be the reporter. In front of that AT&T exec, in front of that general, in person or via speakerphone. You use your wife's phone, your husband's phone, neighbor's phone, and you try to call me. That's their lifeline. It's going to be boring what you get. It's not going to be boring if you need the firemen, police, paramedics. And you're getting that. We the people must be the reporters, do that. Oh yeah, use FedEx, UPS, any private carrier. It exposes more along the lines of AT&T and, yes, the general, what is needed to hijack our lifelines, and stealing of the mail shows where it's coming from. Document that. Anything that does not know about a 9/11 Flight 93 check after a decade of me asking, they're involved or they're incompetent. They're incompetent, get them out of there. If they're involved, try them for treason. They're compromising our security, whoever they are. A couple of senators and their staff are in a warehouse when a couple of privates show up and say they are supposed to take all of this warehouse to the incinerator. Pallets and pallets of stolen mail, yes. And one senator says, well, you're a little late for that. It's part of our investigation now. And the other senator is checking out one of the packages, one of the letters, and it says, Dear Mr. President, I've included some jelly beans. I know you like them. Let me tell you that I am not a whistleblower, but this is something that needs to be brought to your attention. And the other senator says, well, a lot of corrupt generals have been stealing mail for some time, haven't they? Here, AT&T's harassment. Make a video. A senator walks into a bar and he walks up to Oliver and he says, do you know Sam? And Oliver, he says, oh, you don't want to mess with Sam. He is a dangerous, evil man. And he turns and he takes a drink of his beer at the bar there, and he says, I don't know why I hang with him. Let me finish this drink and I'll take you over to my house and introduce you to Sam. I'm Melton. Make that video of America's Hijacked Lifelines every time you hear Spectrum's active participation in America's Hijacked Lifelines. Lloyd is watching a basketball game with his friend, and the general calls him up on his cell phone, and he tells him, yeah, my men picked it up from the cameras panning the crowd, and you know, if my men can pick it up, anyone else can too. You shouldn't be talking about AT&T's active participation in America's Hijacked Lifelines. And Lloyd said, okay, I'm sorry, General, I'll be more careful. And he hangs up, and meanwhile outside, the FBI's got a nice van there, and one says to the other, did you get that? And he said, oh yeah, it's recorded. Participation in America's Hijacked Lifelines. Make a video about traitor generals. Guys, if you employed a child to mow your lawn and they didn't, you wouldn't pay that child. Call up that general. He's your employee. Everyone in the military is. And make a video of your speakerphone as you try to call me via speakerphone or in person. Make that video, post that video of that general not doing his job or actively taking part in America's hijack lifelines. Post. Certified mail as well. Colonel South was trained personally by traitor Colonel North. So traitor South is in the business of stealing America's mail, hijacking our lifelines, compromising our security, hijacking the internet. He's gone to a whole lot of stolen mail warehouses for political, religious business, censorship, and he talks to the private at the desk there at this really big warehouse. He says, "How's it going?" And the private says, "Oh, every once in a while I hear a phone ringing, I go to answer it and nobody's there." And Colonel South, traitor Colonel South, said, "Well, don't worry about it. It's probably just crank callers or impatient folks." No, it's folks mailing their phones to me because they want to know where that stolen mail goes. So Lance and Red jump in the helicopter. They were curious and they mailed me a phone. They're two cops. They jump in that helicopter. They've narrowed it down to the GPS thing on that phone has stopped moving. So they narrowed it down to where it's coming from. And yeah, they hit the sky, hit the road. Yeah, surprise, it's in Utah. Oh, I'm sure they've got them all over America. But this one's in, yeah, threat to American security, Utah. Get on video. Colonel South has been a part of hijacking America's lifelines and stealing mail and censoring on the internet for at least a decade. And a lot of folks lately have been handing out these vibes for the generals as well as AT&T executives, and they call them up. They don't know about a 9/11 Flight 93 taking over a decade, me getting one of those, and they don't know anything about all this 93 check imagery. Yeah, they're involved or they're incompetent. So get that on video, and because of that, a whole lot of files need to be removed from certain places. And Colonel South tells his secretary Bambi to send out all receptionists, all secretaries, come on Saturday, bring your fat clothes. That's the general conducting revolutionary techniques through AT&T Spectrum. Does that look like a... I often will have the noise turned down. That doesn't look... apparently that's what's doing it. That's outright harassment techniques of a man in a wheelchair. You want to call AT&T on their harassment techniques of your family. Make that video. Put the numbers on the backs of pipes. Make that video of America's hijacked lifelines. General's numbers too. Either AT&T has a monopoly, Randall Stevenson, excuse me, on down. If they don't know what 9/11 Flight 93 check is, with over a decade of me asking for them, a whole lot of imagery, a whole lot of videos, yeah, they're conducting a revolution. Get that on video. We are in Washington, and a colonel has made yet another sweep of the Oval Office, and he says there's nothing here. If anything was here, I'd pick it up. You wouldn't be trying to put one over on me, would you? No, sir. I serve at the pleasure of the president at the expense of our great nation, America. And yes, and Nixon says, well, thanks anyway, Ollie. So I was waiting to cross the street to go get some food the other day. And I was waiting at that, crosswalk. And I was thinking out loud. I said, he is weak and a bitter for the admiration of the crowd. And the guy next to me said, oh, I know that. Benedict Arnold? I said, no. A traitor, Oliver North. Didn't you see Iran-Contra? And yeah, he's done a whole lot since then to demonstrate that. Well, I guess you could call it a Trump as well, but a Bambi has gone to an office supply store, and the clerk knows her very well. And he says, back in again, Bambi? Another paper shredder, huh? And she says, oh yeah, Colonel South and the General sure do go through a lot of mail. Oh, that's my mail. I'm Melton, John Melton Brady, son of a carpenter and Mary. And I have yet to get one bit of mail about those 93 checks, or a 93 check in over a decade. The post office isn't what gets the fireman or paramedic ambulance to your house, but it will point the way. Those stealing your mail to me, as well as FedEx and UPS, to dangerous traitors within the military and within the government shouldn't be there. Bill's got the eye in the sky going, and Wendell walks in. He says, that looks just like that traitor Oliver North. And Bill says, yeah, probably an illegitimate son. You know, if he can't, looks a lot younger. Can't be true to his country. He sure the hell wouldn't have been true to his family or children or wife. Where is he? He's in Utah. That's what Stone Cold talks about. He's training a bunch of guerrilla warfare folks, looks like Muslim terrorists from the Middle East, doesn't it? Probably what Stone Cold talks about when he says the only reason you might have to worry about that is if the AT&T phone system shuts down, they come pouring out of Utah. Oh yeah, broke my computer because of that. The general, a general, a treasonous one actively involved in America's hijacked lifeline, stolen mail, stolen internet. He is addressing a lot of colonels from, the Army, Navy, Marines, you name it. And he says, I need to know. This guy is exposing my conducting of open harassment through AT&T's spectrum. I need to know who trained him. Oh, none of those trained me. But it is why, being surrounded by you committing treason, that they will place a Rambo truck out front. You drew first blood. I'm protecting America. Hollywood type shows up at the White House. It's somebody the buffoon Oriental Russian guy knows. And Merv said, good news, Donald. They picked up that Hollywood series of yours. And Trump says, when did they ever drop it? And so the next day under those lights, he has the generals assemble Why didn't you tell me about America's hijacked lifelines? You're fired. Colonel South is testifying before a Senate subcommittee, and the senator asks, what was your mission in this foreign country? And South tells him, General gave us orders to topple the current government so that the rebels could gain control. And what methods did you employ to do that? And South is a little reluctant. You are under oath. And South says, well, we intercepted calls, we stole mail. Make that video of your hijack call to me and your stolen mail as well. I'm Melton. Abigail lost her husband in Vietnam. She's now the great-grandmother and grandmother of a lot of folks, very large extended family, and she tells all of them, especially those who are in the military, she sends them the numbers of generals and the numbers of, puts them on the backs of these fobs you can print out from these sites right here. And she calls up every general and she says, what do you know about me not reaching John Melton Brady when my family's lifeline not be allowed to work because of what you're doing? If the general doesn't know anything about those 93 checks, he says the truth. He's incompetent or he's a traitor. Document that, everyone. Trump walks around a grave and he says, Oliver North has finally worn through your Teflon coating. He's in hip deep with America's hijacked lifelines, stolen mail, and Mormons. Do you have any advice for me? And yeah, if Ron had any advice for you, well, it'd be for the country, America, not what you're doing to it. Remember to call up those generals and ask, what do you know about this? Post. So the director of the FBI says to Trump, you are the commander-in-chief. Unless you want to be eclipsing Nixon because of what your generals are doing, I would suggest you go wholeheartedly ahead with documenting traitors at the highest levels of our military. Yeah, the Mormons conducting harassment techniques, military style, from the apartment down below requested this video. And the one before it about the cross-dressing general envisions himself as the president by stealing mail, hijacking lifelines and the internet, and declaring himself. It's done all the time in third world countries. Shouldn't happen here. South phone company is this big warehouse with a whole bunch of privates dressed as telemarketers doing that kind of a job. And Tony turns to Al and he says, can you believe this? Back when Hussein was president, he had us intercepting calls to an activist who was trying to mobilize voters. And look what Trump's got us doing. Just then he gets a call, he answers, he says, yes, I'm Father Olfactory. No, I'm sorry. The church is closing. The Pope's closing all of the Catholic churches in America, says that he's given up on them. They're nothing but a whole bunch of sinners. but I can give you directions to a nice Presbyterian church just down the street. It's a late night meeting with Colonel South and the general. And Colonel South has checked on something. He comes back into the room and he says, that's some folks in Montana. They say if you don't come pick up that targeted American mail you've been stealing, they're going to have to send it back to the sender. They can't just leave it there. And he looks, and the general is rubbing his eyes and he says, oh man, these late night things are getting to me. I swore I just saw George Washington there, standing right there. And yeah, in Eagle Rock, Angel George goes to report to Melton what the general and the colonel are up to. The sergeant's gone to the post office on the military base there to mail a letter. And the clerk's gone. It's lunch. And it's just Harry and Larry, two of sergeant's privates. And one of them is reading the letter out loud. Adam, I love you with all my heart and soul. Come see me soon. Love, Bonnie Lou. And they see Sarge and say, oh, it's not what you're thinking. Sarge says, you're in luck. Colonel South is looking for guys to steal mail for traitors in high places. Yeah, he's going to introduce them to him. We're in a travel agency, and a man there is in his sippies, dark sunglasses, and the clerk says, okay, you want a cruise ticket for the Mid-East. For a handicapped man in a wheelchair. They said, hey, you're a general, aren't you? And the general says, no, I am not. And the clerk says, hey, you put your stars on a t-shirt. You're a general. And the general turns, runs out, and he says to the guy next to him, that's the third one in here this week. One general has he stormed into another general's office. And he says, we have got to do something about Stone Cold Melton, John Melton Brady Melton, son of a carpenter, married. Dad, a carpenter, worked on skyscrapers, Mom, Marianne. I'm a son of a carpenter, I get to tell parables. I get to tell you about truth. And the general says, we got to do something about him telling everyone to call us up, put our numbers on the backs of those fives, General fives and AT&T fives. Call us up with us on speakerphone. They try to call him. I don't know what to tell them. And the general whose office it is, he said, can't you see I'm in a meeting with Oliver North here? And the general turns and he sees an Oriental man sitting in the chair. He says, oh, I'm sorry, Ollie. I didn't know you were here. He bows and he leaves. I was just leaving. We are in the NRA, and Oliver North has proposed a new name for the NRA, the National Revolution Association, and a lot of their members are, of course, appalled by that. They like the National Rifle Association. Try to call me every member of that group and see the Trojan horse among you. Make that video behind that call to me, and you point out that cowardly traitor that is threatening everything America holds dear. 424-229-4140, certify your mail as well. Ralph has stopped by Adam's house because he wasn't at work. And Adam tells him, well, I was feeling a little sick, so I took the day off. And Adam's wife, Eve, it says, honey, you had a vision. Someone's trying to tell you something. What was the vision about? And Adam says, well, John F. Kennedy was there, and so was my parish priest from when I was a kid. They were telling me I was doing wrong, taking part in Operation Epistle Theft. And his wife, Eve, says, you sure are, honey. Anyone desperate enough to steal mail and hijack lifelines to cover up their crimes is nothing more than a common traitor. Doesn't matter if it's Trump or a general. You need to speak up about that. This right here, 424, is this phone right here making this video. That phone, 213, is 675-2138. It is the phone I get because I'm poor and I'm handicapped. My livelihood as a graphic artist is being hijacked. But that phone is not that phone, in case anybody's seen the last video. This is just a throwaway phone I got from Walmart. And to illustrate how effective something like that can be, the general, the senator, and a concerned American are playing golf together. And the concerned American, with one of these in his pocket, asked the general what's going on. Yeah, kind of, are you involved or you're incompetent? But he's not coming out and saying that. And the general tells him all about it with that audio maker going. Trump has called traitor Oliver North into the Oval Office. And he says we have an ally south of us that is encountering resistance. Here they're trying to start a grassroots democracy movement. I need you to take your post office, guys, and go down there. They know all about the hijacked lifelines and internet. They've gone back to using the mail primarily. I need you to go down there, show their post office how to sort out the resistance's mail. And Colonel South says, Colonel North says, okay, where am I going? And he says, Alabama. Senator there. Wang, the dry cleaner, is cussing in Chinese when his son comes in. And he says, Pop, what's wrong? And Wang tells him, lost big military contract with the general. Dry cleaning. And just then the phone rings and he picks it up. And he says, sorry, reporter, I don't have any more scoops for you from the general's pockets. Oh, I got a scoop for you guys. 424-229-4140. Try to call me in front of the general in person or via speakerphone and ask him, when it comes to America's hijacked lifelines, as they're trying to call MELTON, are you involved in that or are you incompetent? The general is speaking at West Point, a whole bunch of cadets, and he said, first thing you do is what the Mormons do when you're attempting to overthrow a government. You go after the handicapped. You use harassment techniques. AT&T does our bidding here in America and elsewhere. You conduct harassment techniques against the man in the wheelchair, and you demonstrate that character. Try to call me in front of the general. Get his character on video. That's his character. Taunting a man in a wheelchair with military dancing as he does. Taunting a man in a wheelchair and threatening your family, the security of America. If he doesn't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is after I've been asking for over a decade, plenty of imagery. Plenty of parable videos. That's that treasonous general. Being a threat to America's security, we need to get him out of those boots, get someone in them who can do his job or who isn't committing treason. Do that. Harassment techniques against a man in a wheelchair as he's trying to eat. From two different directions, both involving the Mormon cult. As the cops of LA and California, as well as numerous civilians conducting their own documentaries of dangerous elements of the military conducting war on American citizens and actively involved with impersonating yours truly, Melton, as he tells the world about our hijacked lifelines. Make that video, put the numbers on the backs of 5s for the generals, for AT&T, and call them up. Ask them, what do you know about this? When else will my family's lifeline not be allowed to work because of your war on American citizens? The exact opposite of what you should be doing, General. And, but yeah, do that. You got the timestamp on your phone, you got the number dialed. Those committing treason are altering phone records to cover up the crimes. You should document that, as well as what goes on here in Eagle Rock daily with those military traitors. The Mormon cult and their Muslim brothers. So an LA cop is testifying before a Senate subcommittee, and he says we got numerous complaints of, yes, the Mormon cult running in and out of terrorists in Eagle Rock conducting harassment techniques against a man in a wheelchair. We got numerous complaints. We ask again and again the military, and they gave us the runaround. So we set up a surveillance, and yes, here are the treasonous generals. Melton, Mr. Brady, talks about running out every night and quite often during the day on Eagle Rock, where Mormons congregate in LA, and being the devil. Here AT&T's active military-style harassment of a man in a wheelchair, and your family's lifeline's not working as you try to call me. Make a parable. The general is on the sidewalk. He was just dropped off, and he's waiting around, and he figures he'll call up Traitor Colonel Sal, taught by, yes, Traitor Oliver North. And he calls him up and says, good news, Trump, I'm going to meet Trump here. The general he's been using for his press conferences, he's out. I'm on the way in. And South says, well, I got to tell you, I'm no longer going to be working with you. He's retiring in South America now. And the general looks around, and there's Oprah. She's there to document the general standing in front of that warehouse full of stolen mail. So the general is talking to Bambi. And he says, look at this. And he shows her a video he's got on his phone. And she said, what's so spectacular about that? Ice cream truck at the post office. And the general explains, oh, Colonel South, that's his photo shop work. It's really a military truck stealing America's mail, at least to certain people like Melton. And he's proud as can be. He zooms in. It says the General's ice cream truck on the side of it. Check and post and pod with all generals. It's a mess in a Virginia parking lot as Traitor Oliver North, with his walker, tells civilians supposedly how to conduct military-style harassment. Yes, this is a gated parking lot. That's AT&T's harassment, military style. So, 911 Flight 93 check with AT&T's executives, Randall Stevenson on down, and with the generals, any and all, Annapolis, West Point, schools of war all across America, and ask them, are you conducting harassment techniques? Are you conducting a revolution? They don't know what a 911 Flight 93 check is. With a whole lot of my imagery over the years, they're involved or they're incompetent. Get that on video. Traitors following in Ollie's shoes. We don't need that revolution. He's older now, so he doesn't travel down to South America to conduct revolutionary tactics. He does it right here in America. Colonel South arrives at the general's office, and the general's looking at the picture on his desk, and South says, "Is that your son?" And he says, "Oh yeah." He didn't follow in my footsteps. Yeah, they got him for bank fraud and a whole lot of other things. He's just not like his old dad. And that phone rings on the general's desk. He picks it up and he says, "No, I've never heard of 9/11 Flight 93 checks." But, yeah, he's involved or he's incompetent. He doesn't know about me asking for a 93 check for a decade. The parish priest told the bishop told the archbishop, the archbishop told the Pope, and the priest went to Vatican City. He said, "I could tell Colonel South was holding something back in confession." And I asked him about it, and he said, he got nervous. He said, "No, there's nothing. I gotta leave." Got up, left, and that's when I noticed a few letters where he had been sitting that weren't his. And yes, the general, mine, John Milton Brady. Yes, the general makes a new announcement. Catholics in the military can't go to confession. General has his men positioned on the coast, and one of them says there's a fleet of warships right out there. Whole lot of civilians making videos, taking photos of them, stealing America's lifelines, hijacking our mail as well. And yet, no identification on the ships. Don't know where they're from. And the general gets out his binoculars, he looks, and he says, "Oh, I wouldn't worry about the easily documented hijacking of America's lifelines. Let's do those exercises now." If a general doesn't know about me, Melton, not getting a 9/11 Flight 93 check in a decade, he's involved or he's incompetent. The general is addressing the troops. And he says, all you privates out there, I want you to run into battle for me so I can, as I stab you and your family in the back, taking an active part in America's hijacked lifelines. You know, after the speech, one private says to another, yeah, at least he's being honest. Good thing we made that video of all those pallets of Stone Cold Melton, John Melton Brady, son of a Carpenter Mary. His mail that the general had us steal from the post office. Good thing we made that video. So yeah, we don't get left high and dry being called traitors. Yeah, I had to remake this. It got altered from last night. So Colonel South, who's been hijacking America's lifelines, stealing mail, stealing the internet, is waiting with swords, and he says, what is taking those two so long? Sent them to dispose of some good Americans' mail that got stolen to me, Melton. And Sarge says, oh, if I know Harry and Larry, they're taking photos and videos of each thing they're asked to shred. Oh, you should too. Anyone out there who, because of folks being nervouser than ever before, don't let them drag you along. Make that video, whatever it is they're worried about, have you disposing of. Post. The general is angry, and he has shown all of his officers who might be getting calls a show from the 60s. Oh, I'm not sure. It's before my time around. This time around. I'm Melton, son of a Carpenter Mary. Daddy Carpenter worked on skyscrapers, Mom Mary Ann. I'm the son of a Carpenter Mary. I get to tell parables. And he says, whenever someone calls, I want you to say this. And yeah, he turns that on, and the funny German guy says, I see nothing. I know nothing. The general is on his way. And Colonel South stops him. He wants to talk to him. He says, General, don't go to that bar. And the general says, I've been getting calls from concerned Americans, and I don't have a good answer for why I don't know what's going on with the 9/11 Flight 93 check of America's lifelines. Oh, I've been asking, me, Melton, I've been asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade. I've yet to get one. Make that video of you calling up generals and trying to call me in front of them and asking them, are you involved or are you incompetent with this man's political and religious censorship? Also call up AT&T. Their executives are conducting harassment techniques with Spectrum next door, and the general says, you're not going to stop me, and Colonel South says, well, at least take off the dress. Everybody's got phone cameras now. Oh, good. They're dropping off those fives. 9/11 Flight 93 check and post in 5, guys. Make that video of America's hijacked lifeline. Semper Fi, aim high, fly, fight, win. This we will defend. Defend America by making a video of our hijacked lifelines. Not one 9/11 Flight 93 check in a decade of asking. No certified mail, no non-certified mail. Gonna make that, send a letter, FedEx, UPS. Make a video of it first. 424-229-4140-4260, Eagle Rock, oh, I got it right here. Eagle Rock Boulevard, apartment 409. Working on my Lynx XL. pricecomplex1@gmail for that one. Those adjoined parables there. Hours and hours of 93 checks, for example. There's where to certify. 4260 Eagle Rock Boulevard, apartment 409. That's youtube.com/DNFD series. I'm kind of working on it. Next, getting what's with the drive. Daily joined there, a lot of them for the past couple months. And this one's Melton for imagery. So if anybody, you might call up AT&T or a General and they don't know about 9/11 Flight 93 checks with 10 years, a decade of graphic art and video and audio, 93 checks and just plain fun videos. Melton, the parable teller. Make that video, post that video with the General and AT&T executives on that speakerphone. What do you know about this? Are you involved? Are you incompetent? They don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is? Yeah, they're either incredibly incompetent for their line of work. Those stealing your calls to me are worried enough about their crimes to alter phone records to cover them up. So get that on video. Got the timestamp on your phone, you got the number dialed. And if AT&T executives, Randall Stevenson on down, does not know, generals don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is, they're either really incompetent and we need to replace them, or they're involved. And they have a fancy word for that with the military, don't they? Compromising military and America's security. Make that video, post that video. And yes, help tear down that great wall of evil around me and around the world so we can build a better world. Jesus is immaculate house, those 1,000 points of light to inspire the future and the present to greatness with. You see someone besides me in this imagery. We started doing that. Spectrum conducting harassment technique against the man, me, Melton, telling you all about your hijack lifeline. No conspiracy theory, guys. Make that video if you hijack called to me. Certify your mail to me and ask, yes, all generals, all colonels, all mayors, all governors. What do you know about this? When else will my phone not be allowed to work? Get them weighing in on dangerous censorship. That's easily documented. Certify that mail. 4260 Eagle Rock Boulevard, apartment 409, Los Angeles, California, 90065. And make that video. If you've got Spectrum's phone as your child's lifeline, you owe it to your child to make a video of Spectrum's part in America's hijack lifelines. Here is siren. 9/11 Flight 93. Check-in, post-in 5. Been asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade. I have yet to get one. That you picking up your phone, calling me, actually reaching me, and knowing that your phone works all the time. Because you can reach me. Political, religious, business censorship is not stopping your phone. Your family's lifeline, America's lifeline. So remember to try and call me, 424-229-4140, when you see that siren, hear that siren, and put the numbers of generals and AT&T on the backs of these fives. Hand them out, church, at work, at school, where you live. Tell everyone, try to call Melton, ask that general, when else will my phone not be allowed to work? Those stealing my call to Melton are worried enough about their crimes to alter phone records to cover them up. Mail as well, guys. Make a video of the mail before you send it too. But general or AT&T executive, when we all got those crimes on video, All America, timestamp on your phone, number dialed. But yeah, it's Phonegate. What's your part in Phonegate? They don't know what a 93 check of America's Lifelines is. That's after a decade of me asking. Yeah, they're definitely either incompetent or involved. Need new folks in those suits and those boots. They're involved. We need to treat them as traitors. One general who knows about another general using military tactics against a man in a wheelchair who's been asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade and has yet to get one, is using the military's technology to document that traitor who should not be wearing stars, as they are that obvious right there, and they can turn that noise off. They're being incredibly obvious about that. That's military style harassment, taunting, as well as what I've been seeing on this phone, high-tech toys. Make that video of America's hijacked lifelines, and yes, if you're a American general, document those who are traitors among you. My videos and photos made with this phone on the 14th of March 2019, and yeah, last night too. Got my imagery. 9/11 Flight 93 taking post in 5 in front of generals and AT&T executives, in person or via speakerphone. Put their numbers on the backs of 5s. You can find at vote-truth.blogspot.com. And oh, here's one. Oh, they come in a bigger size. Yeah, call them up. What do you know about John Melton, Brady Melton not getting one 9/11 Flight 93 check in a decade of asking? Either they're involved or they're incompetent. They don't know about all my imagery, all my parables, my videos, asking America to check the lifelines. They're worried enough about getting called for their crimes, those stealing your calls to me, that they are altering phone records to cover it up. Ask the general, ask AT&T about that, and tell them you're making a video of those phone records being altered. What do they have to say about that? The general tells Annapolis how to conduct treason, how to overthrow a government. You steal mail, you hijack the internet, you hijack America's lifelines. Try to call me right now, 424-229-4140. Same with generals as with AT&T's Randall Stevenson and other execs of AT&T. If you don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is, after I've been asking for one for over a decade without getting one, those generals, AT&T, are involved or incompetent. You get that on video. Unless you want them conducting those treasonous methods in a dictatorship. Here's Siren. 9/11 Flight 93, check-in post in 5. Make a video of your phone not working as you try to call me Melton. Here's my contact on these 5s, a whole lot of them at vote-truth.blogspot.com. This one. Put the numbers of generals on the back. I did the front, you do the back. Numbers of generals. Same here with the AT&T. Hopefully that's AT&T. AT&T. 150 million subscribers. You might be one of them. So make that video of, put the numbers of AT&T executives, Randall Stevenson on down. in both those occupations, if they don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is, after I've been asking for them for over a decade, they're involved or they're incompetent. Get that on video. Here, AT&T conducting harassment techniques against any handicapped in your city and against your family. Can't reach me, 424-229-4140 for the 9/11 Flight 93 check, and no one has in over a decade. That's AT&T. They own Spectrum. A Charter as well, I'm assuming. That's them actively involved in hijacking America's lifelines. What are they planning? Are they part of a revolutionary group? You need to ask them. And you demonstrate your family's lifeline. Put the names of and numbers Randall Stevenson and all executives of AT&T, include generals and colonels of the military. If they don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is, after I've been asking for over a decade, they're involved or they're incompetent. If they're involved, they're traitors. Treat them as such. They're incompetent. Let's get someone in who can do the job. Colonel South is in a hotel room. He's in his hometown, but he's in a hotel room. He had to go home to see that he has a Chinese wife and family now. He sold out his country. He sold out his people. He sold out his God. And he sold himself out. He remembers that parable video from Stone Cold Melton the night before. The general saying, "You run into battle, all the privates, and I will stab you and your family in the back." Actively taking part in America's hijacked lifelines. And he had done just that. Colonel South had done just that. Oh yes, he does have Mormons beware in his window. He might be working on one for the traitor, Oliver North. Because the military is in and out of this place and taking an active part and not letting this phone work properly or the computer work properly in there. So you make that video walking up to anything that's ever been with the traitor Oliver North and asking him, why can't I reach Melton by phone? Did you conduct a revolution? Endangering our future? Get his reaction, their reaction, lots of folks, post. You trying to reach me by phone and his part in that. To get those generals using harassment techniques with dangerous foreign elements at work with AT&T, doing that. Get them on video as you check and post and file. In public, everywhere they go. And hand out their numbers for good Americans to ask them, what do you know about it? John Mount Brady not getting one 9/11 Flight 93 check in over a decade. What's your part in that, General? They don't know about a decade of 93 check videos, me asking you to check your lifeline trying to call me, or decade worth of images doing the same thing. They are traitors. You got to document that. It's compromising our security as a nation. Get that dangerous general on video. Here are fire engines. 9/11 Flight 93 check and post and 5 with the military. Generals committing treason. Actively involved in America's hijacked lifelines. How can you tell them apart from all other generals. If you ask them about John Melton Brady, me, Melton, asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade, and the only thing I've gotten for it is, folks are not doing their job when I'm in need of medical help. You ask them, General, do you know about John Melton Brady asking for a 9/11 Flight 93 check for over a decade, not getting one? If they don't know, they're either involved or they're incompetent. Get that on video so I can get decent medical help when I need it. See AT&T conducting harassment techniques in your city, your neighborhood? Make a video of it. Put their numbers, AT&T executives, general and colonels of the military executives. Put their numbers on the backs of fives. They've each got their own. And tell all of America to call them up and try to call me with them on speakerphone. If they don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is, and the phone monopoly business or the general colonel business, they don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is after I've been asking with over a decade of imagery and videos. They are involved or they're incompetent. They're incompetent. Get folks who can do their job in their boots and their suits. They're involved. They're traitors. Try them for treason. Holly and Jim J. and Charlie M. 3 Mormon missionaries have knocked on Jack's door. He opens up and he says, I would appreciate if you would write me, my family, and our neighborhood off of your cult sales route. And Holly's a little indignant. He says, we're just trying to promote our religion. Why is everybody always hassling us? And he tells them, we don't like you casing our neighborhoods. We don't like you preying on our elderly. And why are you wearing ski masks? And Ollie Ann says, we thought your wife or your daughter might be home instead of you. Conducting harassment techniques. Do that Mormon rapist, that Spectrum rapist, 9/11 Flight 93 check. Try to call me up in front of Spectrum via speakerphone across the country. All those ugly as sin temples of the Mormons. And of course every damn general they have. Do that rapist check. You want to know what their active part in your wife, girlfriend, your grandma, your granddaughter's safety being threatened by those terrorists in all of the above mentioned. 424-229-4140. Make that video, post that video. Certify your mail to me as well. And pray for the military who made an attempt on the one and only last night. Semper Fi, hang 'em high. It's our fun fiction. Flew off of my lap in the middle of my Senator Oliver and Sam parable. I meant to have it featured prominently. You just have to envision it featured prominently. And yes, I'm having trouble posting to YouTube, Instagram, Flickr, all at the same time. It means a lot of truth in those parables. Get your truth out there. Make that video of your hijack call to me. 424-229-4140. Not one 9/11 Flight 93 taking over a decade. You ask that general, all generals, all colonels. You ask all of AT&T's executives. What about Melton and his decade worth of imagery, 93 check imagery, and not getting one? Are you involved in that? Are you incompetent? Let them tell you as you try to call me and see your phone hijacked. So Abdul is talking to Latif. And Latif says, this is great. You know, any of the other states would give us problems with our carry-on, as well as our luggage. This flight flies right into Utah. Now, when they take us to the staging area for our event with the Mormons, the Mormon cult, when they take us to the staging area, that guy who keeps referring to us will keep referring to us as Contras. He's a little old, he's a little senile, but that's Traitor Oliver North. The general has assembled the whole platoon, and he speaks to the privates and other lowly folks. And he says, guys, I want you to run into battle for me as I stab you and your family in the back. Afterwards, one of the privates says to the other, well, at least he's being honest. And yeah, they are actively taking part in America's hijacked lifelines, the traitors among the military and government. They've made some videos of stolen mail to yours truly. It's not as easy to do as making a 5-minute video of your hijack call to me, but yeah, it points out who's doing what. Spectrum's active part in America's hijacked lifelines make a traitor general, not protecting America. Video. Adam is rushing up and down the hallway, and he says, Bambi, I need to tell the general about Stone Cold Melton's Traitor General videos, but I looked in his office and he's not there. There's an Oriental guy sitting behind his desk. And Bambi says, oh, that means he's under the desk. Check and post in 5. Make a video of Traitor General's active part in your hijacked lifeline. So Bill has assembled a whole lot of reporters, the influential ones, and he says, I'm concerned about America's hijacked lifelines and rogue generals and rogue AT&T folks attempting to overthrow the government by hijacking freedom of speech and lifelines. So I mailed 100 laptops, 100 computers, phones to Melton, concerned about his well-being, and they traveled through the post office and stopped here. That means where the stolen mail for all Americans is. And so at that next press conference, Mr. President, and Trump says, what's your question? And the reporter, of course, says, are you opening up casinos in Russia? The general has gone to see Bill. And Bill sees he's pouting. He says, General, don't take it the wrong way. This is some serious stuff. You want emails stolen. You want text stolen. Calls made over the internet. And I need to know that you got things covered. And the general puts down his briefcase. He opens it up and he says, here's the paperwork suspending the Constitution, infringing upon civil liberties, disabling the checks and balances of our government. Are you satisfied now? Wendell is in Bill's office and he's showing them some surveillance video. Here's the general, Colonel South in the warehouse. They erased the security footage when they're using it to store stolen American mail, but they don't realize it's backing up to the cloud before they do that. And he and Wendell have a little laugh there. And he says now they're coming outside, and you can tell because it picks up with the eye in the sky much clearer, at least Bill's eye in the sky. And he says, I'm not going to let them hang me out to dry, because they want to stage a little revolution within the military. The general is carrying on something fierce. He's saying, get me out of here, private. And the private's, fumbling for those keys. General's in the brig. Then that other general shows up and says, no can do. Calls him by his first name, not general. He says, you should have thought about that before you were such an obvious lapdog of foreign interests in America. Yeah, like the Mormons. You should have thought of that before. AT&T got to that point being so obvious. Not one 9/11 Flight 93 taking over a decade of asking. I'm Melton. Look for the generals, fives, the bad ones, and check and post and five with them via speakerphone. A colonel is having a press conference. Here's Spectrum's active participation in taunting a man in a wheelchair telling the truth about America's hijacked lifelines. Make a video about traitorous generals. And this colonel isn't from America, he's from Britain. And he says that we've known about MELTON asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for over a decade and not getting one. We have asked American generals about that, and all we got was introduced to their disinformation campaign and their impersonators of MELTON. Colonel South is showing Adam how to pick out new Stone Cold Melton impersonators. I'm Melton. John Melton Brady, son of a carpenter, married. Dad carpenter, worked on skyscrapers, Mom Marianne. I'm the son of a carpenter, I get to tell parables. And he's showing him how they form the armies of impersonators needed for me not to get a 9/11 Flight 93 check in over a decade. Stolen mail during that time as well. He says if they're a half foot taller, half foot shorter, they're tier 2 impersonator. If they're within an inch or so, if they're about that height, tier 1. And if you ever find one that can walk on water, he's an A1, what we call. And it said like the general walks on water, and North says he cheats. He has privates underneath the water. A Georgia college student has a speakerphone on at a college party, a serious college party. He's got a general yelling and screaming, angry about his part in America's hijacked lifelines. You can do that too. Ask them the truth. Tried to call me with them on speakerphone. 424-229-4140. Make that video of America's hijacked lifelines and highly placed traitors who've known about that for over a decade and have been actively involved in covering it up. Get them on video, every American. Make a video of our traitorous generals. So a college student has found a 5 of a general on the back of the general's files. And he has called up the generals as well as AT&T and asked them, what is your very active part in America's compromised security? We can't reach Melton. We have no idea when else our phones won't be allowed to work. What's your part in this? And the college student tries to call me. 424-229-4140 and gets the generals and the AT&T's executives' reaction to that. He posed. He asked him why they are conducting harassment techniques against the man in a wheelchair. And who else are they conducting those harassment techniques against? Post. Here's Spectrum. Make a video about traitorous the generals. Colonel South gets back to his office and talks to his secretary, Bambi. And he says, "That's something I never want to see again." 20 generals in the same room with their pants down. And Bambi says, "What were they doing?" And the colonel says they were trying to find a pair of balls to talk to the one and only John Melton Brady, Stone Cold, telling them the truth about their traitorous part in America's high-tech lifelines. So Steele Hill has showed up at Colonel South's office, probably at AT&T headquarters all across America too. And Bambi and Colonel South are in the office there. And they say, "What do you want shredded?" The Steele Hill folks. And South says everything. And the Steele Hill guy says everything. You don't have any legitimate business. And that brings a good laugh from Bambi and Colonel South. Make that video of America's hijacked lifelines and call up those generals. AT&T as well. Colonel South is trying to calm the general down. He says maybe it just wasn't the right time for that. They just placed that cowardly Hussein in our White House right after we got attacked by all those cowardly Husseins. But the general's irreconcilable. I don't know. He can't be calmed down. He says I should have been president. I'll show them. You're the general staging of revolution. Hijacking America's lifelines. I've been asking for a 9/11 Flight 93 check for over a decade. I have yet to get one. Make that video of you asking that general, any general, what do you know about that? Are you involved or are you incompetent? Let them tell you. So Colonel South has been stealing America's mail, hijacking lifelines, blocking internet sites. He's having a Harry babysit these pallets of mail so that nobody comes in, stolen mail, so no one comes in and takes photos of them, makes videos of folks committing treason, stealing mail, compromising our security. And he says, just babysit this stuff, don't let anybody take it, photograph it or anything. And he leaves and the phone rings inside one of those packages and he's curious, so Harry opens it up and it's an angry guy saying, "What are you doing stealing my mail to Stone Cold for?" Colonel South, who steals phone calls, mail, and internet, is always looking for new guys. He has all of the privates from a military base assembled. And he says, I got a night op mission for you that could lead to a lot of work after you get out of the military. But you need to be really, really fast. And he picks out a few, and as they're going to the Jeep, one asks, why do we need to be fast? And he says a whole lot of folks writing to congressmen, writing Melton, Stone Cold Melton one and only, and the shipyard has a whole lot of guard dogs. That's why you got to be really, really fast. So the Archbishop has gone over to see the Pope, and the Pope's watching the news, and he says, I didn't know you. What's the news, Your Holiness? And the Pope says, oh, just enough to keep up with current events. And just then a story comes on the news there about how generals in America were actively participating in America's hijacked lifelines. And as a result of that, they were stealing mail left and right. And the Pope says, oh, good. It was just those corrupt generals. I thought Melton wasn't returning my letters or calls. Oh, they get stolen. Harry and Larry, two privates, are in the general's quarters, and Larry says, can't we get in trouble doing this? And Harry says, oh, don't worry about it. The general is kicking up his heels at a bar. It's Saturday night. Yeah, he really means that, kicking up his heels. He likes to cross-dress, this general. And Harry says, come look at this. He takes him over to the presidential closet, a little shrine there. And it says the 46th president. And yeah, it's got a picture of the general. And Harry says, well, he is hijacking America's lifelines. Part of that, 424-229-4140. Hijacking America's lifelines and stealing mail. That must be what he's planning. So Dave, he's sweeping up, he's taking any messages from Colonel South at the warehouse. He's a janitor. And the private traitor Colonel South left guarding stolen mail. He's off at lunch. And he's sweeping up, and he hears one of the packages a ringing. And he gets curious. He opens it up, and yeah, he answers the phone. And he says, no, I'm not Melton. Where am I? And he gives the address. And now that citizen has the address of where stolen mail is. We are at a computer entrepreneur kind of get together, and the subject of me, Melton, pointing out AT&T's active participation in America's hijacked lifelines with their company, small company, Spectrum, next door. And you know that's not the only place they conduct political, religious, and business censorship harassment. And also stolen mail as well. What resulted in the fives, the big fives with the general and with AT&T executive, put their numbers on the backs of these and print them out. And Bill says to Wendell, you know, if someone were to have, you know, access via a phone or listening device into that warehouse where they keep Melton stolen mail, they could also find out a lot about other stolen mail as well, from just what they're saying in that warehouse. Professor Foote is trying to motivate his students to be involved in government, in truth, in reporting, in change, positive change. And he has told them to, as an assignment, call up a general and ask them what their very personal part. They're either involved or they're incompetent in MELTON, asking for over a decade for that first 9/11 Flight 93 check and not getting one. They're involved in that, or they're incompetent for not knowing what's going on. And finally, blowing bubbles, yawning, and he says something that gets him. Generals have been watering down drugs for years. And yeah, they get started calling. The Postmaster General is testifying in front of a Senate subcommittee. And he's been asked a question and he is answering. Yes, the general told him it was a matter of security. The security of the general's retirement and ill-gotten gain. Matter of security, and that he, the Postmaster General, needed to reallocate mail into the general's possession. And the senator says, you mean this general right here in the front? And the general looks over and he says, do I know you? Privates Harry and Larry are in the general's quarters. And Harry says, should we be here? And Larry says, oh, don't worry. The general is off base at a bar every Saturday night. And they all of a sudden hear a parrot saying, isn't she a pretty girl? And Harry says, the general has a parrot? Again it says, isn't she a pretty girl? And Larry goes, yeah, well, yes he does, and apparently he likes to dress in women's clothes and he likes to be complimented. Chemical methods and hatred from the Mormons keeping me up. In Agorock, so call up those generals and ask them, why are you traitors? When else would my phone not be allowed to work? Other than when I'm calling John Melton Brady, and are you involved or are you incompetent? Regarding Mr. Brady not getting a 9/11 Flight 93 check in a decade of asking. Take your pick. A Jack, a concerned citizen, has called up the general. One general whose number is on the back of these fives. And he says, I'm trying to call Melton. I want to know why America's lifelines are being hijacked. What your part in it is in it. If you don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is after over a decade of asking, true of AT&T as well. Executives on down. CEO on down. You don't know what one is? You're involved or you're incompetent. And what do you know about the Mormons' active part in America's hijacked lifelines? And the general said, well, it's nothing to worry about unless their Muslim brothers come pouring out of Utah, attacking the rest of America, and our phones don't work. Sergeant is leading a tour at Guantanamo Bay. And one of those people in the tour group say, why is this one different? He doesn't have that beard, or, oh, he's worse. He's the one that allowed these terrorists from abroad to hijack America's lifelines. So he gets to hang around with them. And we get some folks in his shoes, behind his stars, who can do the job. Do that. So the general says to Colonel South, I don't have time today, you're going to have to come back tomorrow. Trump's showing up for a surprise inspection. I need my good suit. He goes to a good uniform. He goes to the closet, it's missing. And he says, Bambi, where's my good suit? Uniform. And Bambi says, I sent it to the dry cleaners. You got food all over it. Meanwhile, at the dry cleaners, Wang has that list in the pocket about who is responsible for BSing America about their high-tech lifelines in New York State. The dirty, dirty censorship show. Yes, power washing. And fleet backing up ended very suddenly this morning. It's definitely military tactics. So I will again make many videos telling you to make that video of America's hijack lifelines. 424-229-4140 in front of all generals, all officers. If they don't know about me asking for 9/11 Flight 93 checks for a decade and not getting one, I'm Melton. And a whole lot of folks selling their souls to be a part of censorship. They don't know about that. The easily documented imagery and the videos on the internet. They're involved or they're incompetent. You show them your phone not working as you try to call me, and look for those documentaries on site of Colonel South's men being traitors. So it's Saturday night, and Harry and Larry, two privates, have gone into the general's quarters. They know he's off kicking up his heels, likes to cross-dress in town. And Harry takes Larry over to the presidential closet. It's like a little shrine. The general's been stealing mail, hijacking lifelines and the internet, and plans to, perform a revolution, put himself as the 46th, is it, president? And he looks, that's not the really creepy stuff. He shows these stolen mail to Melton with Melton crossed out and general put in up above it. That's odd. So Colonel South has gone out to the field, out in maneuvers, whatever it is they're called. The general's out there, outside somewhere, and Colonel South says more than ever before making videos of their hijack calls to Melton. And they're calling up generals, colonels, officers left and right, as well as AT&T. Maybe we should send somebody to talk to Melton, get started building that immaculate house he talks of. And the general says, oh, haven't you read the history books, the Bible? That can't happen until long after the guy's dead. And a lion and a lamb walk up and cuddle up together right in front. I'm Melton, Stone Cold Melton, son of Carpenter Mary. I didn't have a good night's sleep, and I didn't have a good yesterday because Spectrum's over the top active participation in America's hijack lifelines with harassment techniques. And I overheard a conversation this morning like this. They came in through the back we told them he's there all the time, meaning me, and they said we know. I would suggest if you're in the military or the military streets and you can't grow a pair of balls to protect America, and come talk to the one and only me. You don't take part, because that got you take part in harassment techniques. That got you that general stabbing the troops in the back and their families in the back as they run into battle video. Mormon missionaries, Ollie Ann, Charlie M, and Jim J are about to go out to case some empty neighborhoods for their Mormon cult. And of course they say that prayer. Our Heavenly Father, please don't let any of our missionaries get caught a raping or a stealing. In Jesus' name we disrespectfully pray. Wallpaper your neighborhood with Mormons beware, and put the numbers of generals on the backs of these fibs, the numbers of AT&T's execs on the back of these fibs. Ask them why you can't reach me by phone, when else your phone won't be allowed to work. Jim J and Charlie M have just cut through, brought their wire cutters, didn't want to climb over the barbed wire, have just cut through a fence, and Jim J explains, we get this guy, we got the whole base. And they knock on that door, and the general opens it up, wearing that dress, and Charlie M says, oh, we're in. He's our kind of people. Remember to wallpaper your neighborhood with these Mormons beware photos you can find at those sites. Yeah, this is an annoying phone ringing. It's in a hangar in the desert somewhere. Colonel South has dropped by to drop off some mail. I hear they bury them out in the desert some way or dispose of them out there. Anyway, there's this funny looking guy. He might be Chinese, I don't know. Real big eyes, no nose, sitting on a table, and he puts his arms up, his little spindly arms, exasperated at that phone ringing again and again, and he closes up his chest and he goes over to the phone, picks it up, and says, no, there's no MELTON here. Jack is a concerned citizen mobilizing Americans to do the job reporters aren't. And he's talking to a governor in his office. Could be any governor. And he says, you've had a disaster in your state. Could be natural, could be man-made. It will mean many lives, depending on how quickly you can get help to the area. What do? The governor picks up that phone to call the National Guard, and Jack picks up the scissors on the desk there and snips the line. He says that's why we can't have treasonous generals taking an active part in America's high-tech lifelines if they don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is after MELTON has asked for over a decade for one. They are involved or they're incompetent. We must be the reporter about that. Check and post 5 in front of them. A military recruiter is speaking before a class, and he invites some comments after he's told them all about the benefits of joining. And one student says, well, what if a general were to start disregarding what he had been taught to do and was actually committing treason, like hijacking American lifelines or stealing mail. And the recruiter says, well, there are all kinds of checks and balances. And the teacher helps him out. He says, well, don't worry about that happening. That'd be like a terrorist in the military being treasonous. So Sarge has stopped the men as they're on a nice long hike. And one of the privates asks, Sarge, so when generals start arresting other treasonous generals, who are going to be the generals that get arrested? And Sarge says, the ones with AT&T tattooed on their ass. Hear a siren? 9/11 Flight 93, checking Posting 5. You're making a video of your hijack call to me. Melt. John Melton Brady. I've been asking for a 9/11 Flight 93 check for over a decade, and I have yet to get one. And all I've gotten from the military is hatred. Generals actively taking part in America's hijack lifeline. Get them on video left and right. Get everyone in the military weighing in. All you privates, that's your family's hijack lifeline. Your mom, your dad, your grandma, your kids. They're a hijack lifeline. You have a right to know why generals know all about 9/11 Flight 93 checks and have done nothing. Tommy is the no-armed Chinese fellow. Average worker of the unseen business. He was told by his boss Wu to stick his right arm into a wood chip. He blindly obeyed Wu, his boss, and Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off, leaving Tommy with no arms. Now Tommy has been given a mission by Wu. He's supposed to tell Trump not to answer any questions at a press conference about AT&T's compromising of America's security by their hijacking America's lifeline. So Tommy goes to the general takes him to the White House, and Trump's in, the chair. The makeup guy's working on him, and the general says, we can come back another time. You're about to do a press conference? And Trump says, no, I'm going to the bathroom. I want to look good in the mirror. And so, of course, they tell him not to answer any questions about AT&T. Tommy is the no-armed Chinese fellow, and he's been sent to a military base to help an American general deliver a speech. And it's a good thing he's there, because the general is freaking out. The teleprompter is broken. And Tommy says, don't worry about it, General. Just look towards me, and I'll mouth the words, and you can read my lips and make the speech. And so the general gets up there and he says, guys, don't worry, to the troops. Don't worry about it. You're not the one that's going to get convicted for treason for taking part actively in America's hijack lifelines. I am. And Tommy has to pick his nose. It kicks off his shoe, and yes, so does the general. The traitor, Colonel South, is training in some new traitors, just like Colonel North trained him in over the past few decades, and many more. He's taken the new traitors to a post office, and he says this is where they sort the mail by zip code and then by name, and for certain names we pull out probably more names than you might think. Pull out, we see if the mail is going to go on with us, taking the information out of it, and whether it's gonna get lost permanently or altered on the way to its recipient. Okay, now let's go over to AT&T. I'll tell you what we're doing with our phone company. Trump walks up to the general and he says, why are you down in the dumps? And the general says, oh, I've been taking part in hijacking America's lifelines, stealing mail, treasonous activities, compromising America's security, telling Spectrum to conduct harassment techniques, and it's all on video. And Trump says, well, don't worry, General. I'm the Teflon president. I'll make a few speeches for you and everything will be all right. You know, the ladies love me. Make that video of your hijack call to me, 424-229-4140. The Sarge and his men are unloading pallet after pallet of stolen mail. I'm Melton, John Melton Brady, son of Carpenter Mary. Stone Cold Melton. Yeah, Dad the carpenter worked on skyscrapers, Mom Mary Ann. Parentage. Stone Cold Melton's my nickname. And I've been asking America to certify that mail to me for a decade now. No calls, 93 check calls, no mail, and the mail's got to be going somewhere. Sarge is looking to protect his men, so he's gotten a nice throwaway phone. Turn that video maker on, and he says, where did the general want us to put this stolen mail? And the men said, oh, right over there. Why is today a great time? 21st of March 2019. Great day to make a who's who video of AT&T. I see someone doing that. Yeah. 9/11 Flight 93 checking postal 5 when you see a helicopter. Who's who of corrupt, treasonous generals and colonels of the military active within Spectrum, conducting harassment techniques on hand, and also AT&T's brass here doing that. Who's who? A lot of other folks as well. I know I've seen you out there on Eagle Rock making videos of your cars from your cars as you come here. They broke my computer yesterday. The techniques of military style going wild. So you call up West Point and ask them, are you training traitors? And you document who's here today. So Colonel South has gone to the missile silo. And he says, Ray, where are you? And he hears something over in the corner, underneath a whole lot of stolen mail. And yes, it's Ray. And Colonel South tells him, we got a whole lot more mail. Folks have been certifying that mail, FedEx, UPS. A whole lot more of it coming. And Ray says, well, tell the general there's nowhere to put it right here. He says, oh, we'll make room. Yeah, that weekend they're having a party at Ray's house. And they keep asking, what's that big thing there? He says, it's a missile. So 2 MPs are watching a Jeep take out a whole lot of garbage cans and have a lot of privates running for cover. And one MP says to the other, should we go try to grab the general there? And the other one says, oh no. That Jeep's got an airbag. And he's been getting a whole lot of calls from folks who want to know if he's a traitor or simply incompetent. You can do that too, guys. 424-229-4140. Make that video of America's hijacked lifelines. You calling me not one 911 Flight 93 check and over a decade of asking. You get every military officer's position on that. If they don't know what it is, they're incompetent. Either they're involved. Here is Simon. 911 Flight 93 check and post at 5. Ask them if they're involved or incompetent. You call up the generals. Call up West Point, Annapolis. What are you teaching our general? Do you know about the man who has imagery and videos asking for America to check the lifelines for a decade? Do you have that? Do you know about that? When else will my family's lifeline not be allowed to work because our military and those who teach them are dropping the ball? Ask that general. If you don't know about these big fives and John Melton Brady not getting a 911 Flight 93 checking over a decade, you are involved or you are incompetent. Which is it, general? Oh, all day long they've been having Spectrum back up. They love those general videos. You call up your general and get him being a traitor to his country on video. Here's Siren 911 Flight 93 check. Ray is a teacher at a high school. He is also a veteran. And he says that to the recruiters at his high school. And then he tries to call me. Melton, John Melton Brady, 424-229-4140. He says, you're not going to find someone more supportive of the military. But we don't like that direction they are taking conducting war against the American public. Hijack lifelines, military-style harassment techniques with those Mormon cult folks. So he puts the numbers on the backs of those fives, and he tells everyone, check and post a 5 with those generals. Oh, they're a little late. Hear that siren? 911 Flight 93, check and post in 5, 424-229-4140. Few seconds more, you've been in my 2-minute, 3-minute. Make that video of Spectrum being traitors and connections to military folks being traitors. And of course, connections to that cult in Utah being traitors. Get them on video. Post. Suppose that Lori-like character I see every day from Spectrum. Here is Siren. 911 Flight 93, check and post in 5. Check your family's lifeline. I'm Melton, John Melton Brady. I've been asking you to do that all over America for over a decade now, and I've yet to get the first call. No certified mail about those 93 checks either. That's with a whole lot of imagery and videos. So call up that general or any officer in the military and ask him, what do you know about this? If they don't know what a 911 Flight 93 check is, they're involved or they're incompetent. And yes, if they're involved, they're being traitors. The same for AT&T's officers. Their top. Ask him, why can't I reach this man when else will my phone not be allowed to work? Why are you compromising America's security? In both cases, generals and AT&T. Randall Stevenson is the CEO of AT&T. Why are you compromising America's security? By actively taking part in America's hijacked lifelines, and with him on speakerphone or any of those on speakerphone. You try to call me, 424-229-4140. Those hijacking your calls to me are worried enough about getting caught for their treasonous crimes that they alter phone records to cover it up. Get that on video. You dial the number, whatever boring thing you get. It's AT&T's and Trump's Phonegate. Hear that siren? 911, Flight 93, check-in post in 5. I'm Melton. John Melton Brady, and I've yet to get a 911 Flight 93 check in a decade of asking. That's you picking up your phone and knowing it works all the time because you can reach me. Certify your mail as well. The address is on the big 5 here. And yes, call up generals and ask them, what do you know about John Melton Brady with over a decade of 9/11 Flight 93 check imagery, as well as videos, and not getting one yet? If the general or any other officer of the military doesn't know what you're talking about with the 9/11 Flight 93 check, they are involved or they are incompetent. Get that on video. Here's Spectrum's backup noise as a corrupt, treasonous general takes an active part in America's hijacked lifelines, directing them to conduct such harassment. There are folks who are documenting this kind of thing that can tell you when that harassment is worse or not, because 4 different apartment complexes, including this one, where you can make an audio of decibel law-breaking fleets. And what you need to do is call up that general you know and ask him, are you involved or are you incompetent in Melton, John Melton Brady, asking for a 9/11 Flight 93 check for over a decade and not getting one? Whenever you hear Spectrum conducting on the behalf of traitorous generals harassment techniques, you call up a general and you ask them why they are endangering your child, your family, instead of doing what you're paying them to do. 424-229-4140. Make a video of Spectrum's active participation in harassment techniques, and you call up that general. And 9/11 Flight 93 check-in post in 5 with them on speakerphone. If they don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 check is, they're involved or they're incompetent. Now they got going on when they're going forward. Remember, you see Spectrum, they're part of the military's disinformation campaign about your family's hijacked lifeline. I've been asking for a 9/11 Flight 93 check for over a decade. I should say they're part of the generals, the disinformation campaign. And asking for a 9/11 Flight 93 check for over a decade, I have yet to get one. I'm Melton, John Melton Brady. Certify your mail, use FedEx, use UPS, any private carrier, and yes, make videos left and right. Especially of that phone not working. 424-229-4140. You got the timestamp on your phone, you got the number dialed, and the generals are worried enough about the alter phone records to cover that up. That's kind of treasonous, don't you think? Father Olfactory is up at the front of the church, and he's trying to tell his parishioners something, but this very loud decibel law breaking backup noise is stopping him from doing that. So he has somebody go outside and check on it, and yes, it's Spectrum. Spectrum is AT&T, but AT&T has bought Spectrum, apparently to conduct harassment techniques against me, Melton, in a wheelchair here, as well as 4 or 5, maybe more than that, within earshot. They have the ability to turn that noise off. They don't do that because they're conducting political and religious censorship. So Father Oil Factory has the CEO's number on the back of those new 5s, hands them out and tells all of them in the pews there. Call up AT&T's executive, call up a general or two, and ask, when else will my phone not be allowed to work? What's your part in that? While you have them on speakerphone, try to call me, MELTON. That's my contact in the imagery here. Now, one 9/11 Flight 93 check in over a decade of asking, that's a lot of mass censorship. Conducted without fear of being covered by the even news. We the people must be the even news. Get that on video. Whatever AT&T says about their dangerous, compromising America's security, censorship, post. We the people must be the reporters. They're not doing their jobs. Good news is you can do it with your phone. Phone's making this video. I'm MELTON. These are my photos and videos. The ones made with this phone for today, the 8th, March 8th, 2019, and last night. And yes, I designed the big 5s for the general, all generals, all AT&T executives, not just the CEO. Randall Stevenson, you call him up, you ask them, what do you know about John Melton Brady? Asking for a 9/11 Flight 93 check for over a decade and not getting one. That's you picking up your phone right now, your children's lifeline, your grandma, your grandchild's lifeline, and trying to call me. Those hijacking your calls to me, committing treason, compromising America's security. Those hijacking America's lifelines and that fast and are worried enough about it to alter phone records covered up. So you ask the generals and you ask Mr. Stevenson, what is your part in this? Your political, religious, and business censorship, your harassment of a man in a wheelchair, your phones, our lifelines, not working because of your censorship. Why are you doing that? When else will our phones not be allowed to work, jeopardizing our family's security and the security of America? Get the generals, get AT&T's. That's who owns Spectrum next door with their decibel law-breaking fleet, conducting harassment. Get their reaction to your phone not working. Post. We the people must be the reporters. They're not doing their jobs. Conducting harassment techniques where you are. Make documentary videos of that. That's when they are watching the one and only John Melton Brady melt so closely that they can turn the noise off like that. Keep watching, keep listening. Maybe you'll learn something. Remember to check and post in 5 via speakerphone and in front of generals and AT&T executives. You trying to call me, Melton? You want to know why America's lifelines are being hijacked? You can demonstrate that in front of the general via speakerphone. Colonels, any officers, your phone's not working, and you can tell them you can alter phone records all you want. America is getting that on video. Timestamp on your phone, number dialed. We're getting Phonegate. Not some buffoon Russian Oriental guy or some cowardly Hussein placed in our White House to stain our democracy. We're getting your Phonegate, AT&T. The Mormons' Phonegate, constant around me. And the generals' Phonegate. Do that. Semper Fi, aim high, fly, fight, win. This we will defend America by making a video of you calling me Melton in front of generals. Either they are incompetent or they're involved if they don't know what a 9/11 Flight 93 tag is after I've been asking for over a decade. No certified mail either. That's a lot of stolen mail. FedEx and UPS as well. Get that on video. Generals telling you, AT&T telling you if they are involved or they're incompetent. If they need to be replaced or they need to be tried for treason. Post. We the people must be as reporters. Do that. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, 100 more. Hear a siren? 911, Flight 93, check-in, post-in 5. I'm Melton. I've been asking everyone to check their family's lifeline, check their lifeline, check America's lifelines by trying to call me for over a decade. And I have yet to get that first 911 Flight 93 check. Those hijacking your calls to me are worried enough about their crimes to alter phone records to cover them up. So that's why I've designed 2 new big 5s. In front of 5s. Call up that general, doesn't matter which one. Call up AT&T CEO. Stevenson. Or any executives of AT&T, and you try to call me in front of them via speakerphone or just plain in front of them. Randall Stevenson is the CEO of AT&T, and if he does not know, same as with the generals, they don't know what a 911 Flight 93 check is. They don't know about me asking for over a decade and not getting one. Yeah, they're involved in that, or they're incompetent. If they're incompetent, get them out. Put someone in their shoes who can do their job properly. If they're involved, yes, it's called treason. It's called undermining America's security. So get on video, them telling you if they're involved or they're incompetent. And of course, get the timestamp on your phone, number dialed when you're calling me. Certify your mail as well. That's a lot of stolen mail over the years. Makes you wonder where it's going. Here's siren 911 Flight 93. Check and post in 5. Make sure your family's lifeline is allowed to work all the time. They're trying to call me right now. Not one 911 Flight 93 check-in over a decade. That's why as harassment techniques are being conducted this St. Patrick's Day, Sunday night, from both AT&T Spectrum next door and the apartment down below. Make that video of your hijack call to me. Not one in over a decade. Those stealing your calls to me are worried enough about their crimes to alter phone records to cover them up. Get all of AT&T's executives on speakerphone or in person and you try to call me in front of them. Explain that. You can alter phone records, but America has video proof. Same with the generals, colonels. They don't know what a 911 Flight 93 check is. They are involved or they're incompetent in the phone monopoly business or the military, a general business. Get which they are and post. We the people must be the reporters. Make that video right now of America's hijacked lifelines. Oh, certify your mail as well, it gets stolen. Not one bit of 93 check mail in over a decade. About the 93 checks or any of my imagery or videos. Make that video, post that video. Put the numbers of generals and AT&T executives on the backs of these 5s. They've got their own. I don't have it handy. It's in the other room. And tell everyone at church, at work, at school, call these folks up. Find out what their part is in America's hijacked lifelines. They don't know what a 911 Flight 93 check is. After I've been making videos and designing graphic art for over a decade about them, and America has been trying to call me for over a decade, they are involved or they're incompetent. Either way, we don't need them in their positions. So Harry and Larry. Oh, he got cold feet. Usually back up all. Oh, just taking his time. Harry and Larry are walking in the desert, and Harry says, "Are you sure you saw that?" With shovels, and Larry says, "Yeah, big military truck, and they buried something right here." Oh, we're gonna be rich. We're gonna sell so many photos to the National Enquirer. They start digging. Yeah, they think they found an alien spacecraft or something, but no, it's just a whole lot of good American stolen mail. 424-229-4140. Oh, make sure you make nice videos of that so that all of Americans can 9/11 Flight 93 check and post in 5 and actually know where their mail went. Make that video if you hijack. Call to me 424-229-4140 in front of AT&T executives and colonels and generals. Oh, you don't have to go see them in person if you don't want to. Put the numbers on the backs of these 5s and certify that mail. FedEx, UPS. And I hear some folks have mailed phones so that they can call up whoever is stealing my and a lot of other Americans' mail, and they can ask them, "Why are you stealing? What's your name? What's your rank? Colonel, General?" 9/11 Flight 93, check and post in 5 guys. Come see me. Have wit, will travel. Someone's perfect place to build. Jesus' immaculate house. Aside from being traitors, traitor Oliver North, for example, is, yeah, he's got that pact with the devil. Pointed out, trying to call me, 424-229-4140. And yeah, he's up in his 70s now. Traitor somewhere in Virginia, from what I hear. So you get the current Colonel Sal's. Putting my mail somewhere, guys. It goes somewhere. When you mail it to me, but yeah, I don't get it. Make that 5-minute video if you hijack. Call to me 424-229-4140 and certify that mail. Make a video at first. Use FedEx, use UPS, and look for countless documentaries of military folks doing the exact opposite of what they've sworn to do. Treat them as what they are, traitors, compromising our security by hijacking our lifelines. Melton, son of a carpenter, married daddy carpenter, worked on skyscrapers. Mom, Marianne, come see me. Have wit, will travel. Show me that perfect place to build. Jesus' immaculate house. Despite traitors hijacking your lifeline.